My next guest with a plan to slash the spending without any layoffs. Republican Marco Rubio is running for the U.S. Senate in Florida, as we always do here. We invited Mr. Rubio's opponents, Charlie Crist, Kendrick Meek, onto the show. They didn't get back to us. We keep trying. Marco just says, yes, he does. He takes on all comers, all networks, and I admire that. Good to have you, Mr. Rubio. Good to stop by.
Glad to be back.
This is sticking a lot of folks' cry of it, that these government workers, taking nothing away from government workers. I have many friends who were wonderful government workers. But now they're doing a lot better than private workers. What do you make of it?
Right. Well, that's been going on for some time. You know, it's the only part of our economy that's held itself harmless from the recession. And that has to be dealt with, not just because it's wrong, but because we've got to get spending under control at the federal level. So the plan we're talking about is pretty simple. People retire every year from the federal government. And all we're saying is that for every 2 positions that are lost to retirement, only hire 1 person to fill it back. And that's how you can get rid of your kind of workforce, or lower your workforce at the federal level, lower the cost of that workforce, and hope to bring some sanity back to the pay that's going on at the federal level, which is a significant cost driver to government spending at the federal level.
You know, a lot of federal employees who knew that I was going to have you on today, sir, have been saying, well, maybe Marco Rubio didn't take a look at the latest employment figures, which showed the number of government jobs took a big old decline, and that you can credit maybe the census thing, you know, winding down or whatever, but government jobs are starting to go down, not up. What do you say to that?
Well, it is largely driven by the census, there's no doubt about it, and we'll see going forward. But the bottom line is that what we're saying is very simple. For every 2 person that retires out of the system, you only hire 1 person to take their place. Look, it's not a question of whether we want to reduce federal government spending. We don't have a choice. If we don't get this debt under control, we're going to trigger a sovereign debt crisis here, somewhat similar to what you've seen in Europe. It's going to be a real problem, and a growing number of people are beginning to recognize that. So we have to deal with debt, and that's why we've unveiled a 12-point plan to do that here in Florida. In our campaign, we're the only candidacy that's done that here in the state, and because we take that very seriously. And part of that is, for example, a 10% reduction in the budget of Congress and of the White House, because you want folks to lead by example as well.
Well, that should make you a real pal if you make it there. I am curious, Margo, about whether you would ever entertain a cap on some federal salaries. I know we have various pay levels and pay grades, but they always seem to move up regardless. Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey, for example, is trying to say that school superintendents in that state shouldn't earn more than the governor, for example. And I think the governor in New Jersey earns $175,000 a year. There are some earning in excess of $300,000 or $400,000 a year. Now, the devil is in the details on whether he can force that issue. Now, I know you would be a senator if you were to win, not a governor, but you get my point. Do elected officials in either the state level or the federal level have any say, or should they have any say, in policing new pay levels for those who either work for the state or work for the government?
Well, first of all, we saw what happened out in that city in California, and that was outrageous. And so certainly you want to be able to prevent something like that from happening. On the other hand, I mean, there are important jobs in the military, in defense, in government that you want filled by competent people who have choices in the private sector. I mean, you have to be able to have something to attract folks like that. And I think the federal government's an attractive place, not just because of pay, quite frankly, but also because of benefits that outstrip that of the private sector. But here's what I would say to you. The key issue here is spending. And the way you get spending out of control is you basically say, we are not going to continue to spend more money than we take in. You accomplish that through a balanced budget amendment, and once you have a balanced budget amendment, you're going to have to make some difficult reductions, and I believe you can't get there without doing something about pay and compensation at the federal level, akin to what you've outlined.
You know, your campaign has been a big deal. I guess it's the 18-month anniversary of the famous Obama-Crist hug, and I guess a lot of folks looking at this are to equate the governor, who's your opponent, independent opponent for the Senate race, with being in sort of a White House's pocket. Does it resonate? It was 18 months ago. Does it do any good bringing it up again? Are you trying to remind people? What?
Yeah, because I'll tell you, it's not just a specific public policy measure, which was just disastrous. It was a philosophy about the role of government in our economy. The stimulus isn't just a spending program. It's also a philosophy about the role of government. It's couched under this belief that they have that presidents and congressmen and senators, by spending federal money, can create jobs in America. Jobs aren't created by politicians. Jobs are created by everyday people who start a business or expand an existing one. And the stimulus not only failed to accomplish that, but the only thing it helped to stimulate, quite frankly, is the national debt. We borrowed over $800 billion and threw it right down the drain through this Obama-Christ stimulus plan. So it is important to remind people, because every time we turn around, there's some new spending idea coming out of Washington that they claim will stimulate the economy, and yet it doesn't work. The only thing that works is for everyday people to be given a business climate where they are encouraged and incentivized to go out and start a new business or grow their existing business.
Marco Rubio, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.